To this story now, Cabinet has condemned the blocking of freeways during several protests on major routes around the country. Communications Minister Nomvula Mokonyane briefed the media a short while ago on the outcomes of the latest Cabinet briefing. For the latest now, we're joined by ENCA's Aldrin Sampear, who was at that briefing in Pretoria. Aldrin, so what else was on the agenda there? What else did the Communications Minister have to report back on?
Well, not only did she condemn the protests that were taking place on the highways, which she then termed economic sabotage, she also termed economic sabotage the protests and the strikings that have been taking place at Eskom, where some Eskom utilities had been torched or set alight. And she said that this is an act of sabotage. She also welcomed that there are some people that have been arrested so far and said that this matter must be dealt with. Cabinet also welcomed the intervention of the Minister of Public Enterprise, who has intervened in this matter, the protected negotiations between Eskom as well as Labour representatives. Let's just take a quick listen to that.
Cabinet welcomed the interventions that have been made by the Minister of Public Enterprises in the wage negotiation dispute between Eskom management and Labour. The supply of electricity is one of the critical levers in growing our economy and creating more jobs. We appeal as Cabinet to all parties to work expeditiously in resolving the wage increase negotiations for the sake of stability and the economic well-being of the country.
Now, Aldrin, last week in that post-cabinet briefing, which of course is a weekly event, Nomvula Mokonyane reporting back on discussions taking place around governance issues in the northwest. Did we get any more clarity on that province and a number of other provinces as well?
Well, there was nothing in the statement that has been delivered today, but questions coming from journalists in terms of what's expected to develop today, where the ANC is expected to make an announcement on the new premier who will be sworn in tomorrow in the Northwest. Questions have been asked around the status of the interministerial task team. Remember that President Cyril Ramaphosa set up the IMC, which is in the Northwest, and also they have the Northwest, which is under administration as it stands. And Nomvula Mokonyane indicating that the interministerial task team will remain in the province up until they are satisfied that the terms of reference that had been set up for them have all been met and their all deliverables have been met as well. And this, she says, also includes the satisfactory levels which would be used as indicators from community members in the Northwest. I spoke to on the sidelines about what will happen to those people who have been implicated in the collapse of governance in their province. She did indicate that the IMC is looking into this and also issues around criminal sabotage as well. These are some of the issues that the IMC will be looking into, but she did also indicate that nobody has been brought forward as yet or implicated in some of these issues of the collapse of governance as well as criminal activity.
And what about confirming the new Northwest Premier, Aldrin?
Can you just quickly repeat that question?
What about any confirmation around the appointment of the new Premier in the Northwest?
Well, she was actually very careful not to mention who the new premier is. And you should know that Nomvula Mokonyane, of course, being a National Working Committee member of the ANC, the National Working Committee sitting last night and deciding who the new premier in the province will be, or the new candidate will be selected and be sworn in. She was very, very careful not to mention a name, not even a gender. And when she was speaking about the premier-elect, the person who will be elected, she speak of him or her. And she didn't even want to give a gender specification of who this person will be. But according to the reports as well as the sources that we have spoken to, we know that that person is Job Mohoro, the former acting DG in the province and also former DG in the province when the province during the transformation of that province from the Bantu stance back in 1994 into a democratic state. He was the DG in the province up until 1999.
And what about the other provinces, Aldrin? In the run-up to an election here, as we count down to next year's national election, certainly there are a number of questions around the upheaval we're seeing in a number of provinces aside from the Northwest.
Well, she just mentioned the issue around service delivery protest and saying that people have the right to go and take on to service delivery protest. But as you indicated in that introduction as well, she condemned it and said that Cabinet has condemned this and Cabinet has called on the police to act on these people. And as I was saying earlier on, that she said that this also amounted to economic sabotage, considering that some of the highways have been closed. She didn't specifically touch on the issue of the elections that will be coming up. I guess this, as it stands at the moment, would be a ANC issue that the party would need to deal with, also considering where the party finds itself with all the instability in various provinces, but only the party's organs that are across the province. We know of Limpopo, we know of KwaZulu-Natal, we know of the Northwest as well. And speaking about the Northwest, she hoped and said that the new person will be coming in, will be able to stabilize the province, and the IMC will work with that particular person who would be sworn in as the Premier next, rather on Friday.
All right, well, thanks very much for that update. ENCA's Aldrin Sampear joining us from Pretoria. This latest post-cabinet briefing as conducted by Communications Minister Nomvula Mokonyane just a short while ago.